Hello and welcome, or should I say Bonjour et bienvenue à la Gare Centrale de Montréal, Montreal's central station. Today we're riding on the Ocean, Via Rail's East Coast sleeper to Halifax. We'll be riding on board one of Via's Chateau sleepers built back in the 1950s, so get ready for a ride back in time as we head up into Nova Scotia. Gare Centrale is Montreal's central rail hub, serving commuter, intercity, and long-distance trains from EXO and Via Rail. The second busiest in Canada, Montreal Central Station serves just under 11 million passengers per year, second only to Toronto and its 72 million. The station doesn't offer much in the way of looks. The exterior appears more like a utility building or parking lot and is almost impossible to distinguish as a station. The only indication of a railway station inside is the Via Rail and Canadian National sign out front. The interior is a little better. The main concourse stretches a full city block and includes a few windows around the exterior for some natural light. In the hallways branching off from the main space, passengers will find a variety of shops and restaurants, and hallways leading to the multiple entry points around the station. In the center of the main concourse is the departure board, and right at the bottom is our train, Via Rail number 14, the Ocean. Closer to boarding, all sleeper passengers will be called for check-in at this desk, where we'll receive our wristband and dinner reservation. With an hour until boarding, we've got plenty of time to kill. Included in our sleeper ticket is access to Montreal's business class lounge, located on the western edge of the station next to tracks 17 and 18. The lounge is fairly basic, but is a quiet and comfortable place to wait for departure. There are plenty of seating options with outlets for charging throughout. Complimentary to business and sleeper passengers are a selection of drinks including coffee, tea, sodas, juice, and water. No food is offered in any of Via's lounges, but we'll be served dinner shortly after departure, so there's no need to worry about getting too hungry. Now, I love to travel, you love to travel, we all love to travel. Getting away from home is sometimes just what we need to relax. But just because we leave the comfort of our home doesn't mean we have to leave the comfort of our home internet, which is why I'm pleased to introduce today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Sponsors like Surfshark help me to share such incredible experiences like the journey we're about to embark on with you. Travel is expensive, but sponsors allow me to reinvest in my content and bring a world of travel straight to your YouTube feed. With Surfshark, home is never more than a click away, as their VPN can place your device almost anywhere in the world. Say you're halfway around the planet and YouTube says a video isn't available in that country. Well, all you have to do is turn on your Surfshark VPN, select your home country, and within a few seconds, you're back online enjoying your favorite content. And with over 3,200 servers in 100+ countries, there's always a fast and secure connection just around the corner. Plus, Surfshark encrypts your personal data on an unlimited number of devices, which means you're always safe on public networks. Surfshark is easily one of the best VPNs out there, and right now they're offering an additional 3 months for free. And with a 30-day money-back guarantee, it's never been easier to try it out. Just scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description below and use code Lonestar at checkout. Thanks again to Surfshark VPN, and now back to the Ocean. After hanging out in the lounge for a bit and enjoying the complimentary beverages, check-in for train 14 is called. The line is quite long, and by the time we receive our band and dinner card, boarding is ready to begin from track 13. A quick scan of our ticket and we can head down the escalators to meet the Ocean for the first time. We'll be staying in car 40, room 4, a roomette in one of Via's Chateau sleeping cars. The roomette is considerably different to those offered by Amtrak. We'll go over all of its quirks and features here in a bit, but why don't we take a look at our route up to Halifax before we head out of Montreal. Our adventure begins by crossing the St. Lawrence River and heading northeast out of Montreal, following Autoroute 20 through Drummondville. The tracks break off from the highway for a bit, meandering through the Canadian farmland until we cross the St. Lawrence River once more towards Quebec. The tracks hug the St. Lawrence River until we reach our northernmost point in Montreal, our train then turning south to head towards Nova Scotia. Morning of day 2 arrives as we ride through New Brunswick wilderness, making a stop in Campbellton to start our day. Bathurst, Miramichi, and Moncton follow as morning turns to afternoon, the Ocean crossing into Nova Scotia around 2 p.m. Amherst and Truro are our only intermediate stops in Nova Scotia before coming to a stop in Halifax, just shy of the actual Ocean. We'll cover a total of 842 miles on our Canadian sleeper adventure with a scheduled travel time of 21 hours and 51 minutes. Boarding wraps up a little before 7, and right on time, the ocean pulls out of Montreal. Just beyond our window are the tracks of the REM, or Réseau Express Montréal, North America's newest metro line. The REM currently serves 5 stations between Montreal Central and the suburb of Brossard. Plans are in place to construct a total of 26 stations, 3 branch lines, and cover an impressive 42 miles of track. Just beyond the turnout from Montreal Central is one of EXO Commuter Rail's coach yards. On one of the far tracks lie 5 of EXO's new CRRC coaches. With a total of 36 coaches and 8 cab cars on order, these coaches will replace the older Bombardier bi-level coaches and supplement service with their current fleet of multi-level cars. Almost immediately after leaving Montreal Central, we cross over the St. Lawrence River via the Victoria Bridge. The Victoria Bridge is particularly cool because it features a rail bypass around the St. Lambert Lock. The rail bypass, seen branching off to the south, allows one side of the lock to operate freely while still providing a clear path for both cars and trains to cross the river. We've got a bit of time before now in our dinner reservation, so let's take a look at this historic roomette. The roomette portion of each Chateau sleeper is laid out with a room on either side of a hallway down the center of the coach. Room numbers are displayed on metal placards mounted to the ceiling. Looking down, something is immediately different. There are stairs up to our room? The Chateau sleepers feature staggered rooms, the reason for which we'll take a look at in a bit. Sliding the door open, we can climb up and into our roomette from the 1950s. Unlike Amtrak sleepers, Via's compartments don't include windows to the hallway, which is great for personal privacy. The age of this coach is immediately apparent as the door latch requires quite a bit of force to properly lock. Roomettes on Via are 6 feet 5 inches long and 3 feet 7.5 inches wide, which comes out to a total of 23 square feet of real estate. It's certainly not a ton of space, but for a single person, it's plenty to stay comfortable. Looking around, the entire room feels historic, as if it hasn't been touched from the days of its operation with Canadian Pacific. In its daytime configuration, each roomette includes a wide seat on one side with a footrest on the other. The seat itself is okay at best, though it certainly isn't comfortable enough for the 21-hour journey. The upholstery, along with some of the interior, was redone back when Via purchased these coaches in 1978, however it doesn't look like it has been touched since. Armrests are built into the seatback, and although there are 2, I found it was more comfortable to have the aisle side up, with a pillow atop the window side to lean on. On the seat are 2 comfortable pillows and French and English guides to the ocean. The guides include landmarks and notable scenery throughout our journey, with a map at the top to show each place's approximate location. Beside the seat is a small table where 2 water bottles and a couple of napkins are found upon entry. Above the table is a storage cubby. It's about 8 inches deep with an opening large enough to store smaller personal belongings. Along the walls beside and behind the seat are 2 coat hangers, a fan, and of course the bed. The bed releases by turning the handle in the center, which allows the wall to unfold, revealing the bed behind. The comforter is of much higher quality than the rest of the room, and we'll have a look at the actual bed once night falls. Also found upon entry is a shower kit. The kit is very basic, with just a towel, bar of soap, and shampoo, but it's certainly better than nothing. Plus, the Via Rail bag is a nice souvenir from our travels. Easily my favorite part of the roomette are the room controls, found between the door and the vanity. The light and fan switches are purely mechanical toggles, which are super satisfying to flip. Sure, they just control the lights and ventilation, but that tactile clunk is second to none. Below the switches are the two outlets for the entire room. Above the switches is the room's temperature control knob, the vent in the ceiling used to control the airflow amount from the car's AC system. Each roomette also includes a bathroomette with a sink, vanity, and toilet. Starting at the top is the mirror light, below which is a cup holder and mirror. On the shelf are hand and face towels, a bar of soap, and an extra roll of toilet paper, beside which is a box of tissues. A tap for potable water is found in the middle of the bathroomette. Beside the tap is a knob for something. It wouldn't turn no matter how hard I tried, so if you know what this is used for, let me know in the comments below. The in-room sink folds down from the wall. Both the hot and cold taps work well, the water draining from the basin after the sink is returned to its locked position. Beneath the footrest is the bathroomette's toilet. It's certainly a functional facility, though I have no intention of ever using it. Instead, I chose to use the bathrooms at the end of the coach, which we'll have a look at later on. Beside the toilet is the flush button, but above the footrest is a rather concerning sign. The notice asks that passengers not flush the toilet while in the station, which implies that this toilet is still a non-retention system, which is disgusting. For those of you unaware, a non-retention toilet dumps waste directly onto the tracks below, instead of transferring the waste into a retention tank on board. I certainly hope this system has been updated, but this sign leaves me with my doubts. The main storage space in each even-numbered roomette is found above the front wall. Although the space curves with the roof structure, there's still more than enough space for all of my luggage, which includes a large backpack, camera bag, and carry-on suitcase. Now for the big question: why are there stairs up to our roomette? In order to fit more rooms in a smaller space, Bud decided to stagger the rooms vertically. This allows each to be closer together, increasing the total capacity from 6 to 8 rooms. Moving to an odd-numbered room, we see just how different it is. The bed is stored beneath the next room, sliding out from its cubby when night falls. The storage space has also been moved from the ceiling to the floor below the bed. This configuration, referred to as duplex rooms, is borrowed from Bud's slumber coach sleeping cars, which included 24 duplex and 8 double roomettes. Looking to sleepers of the past, like the Pacific Union from last week, we see just how similar this is to those of the era. The seat is almost the same, the bathroomette layout is virtually identical, and without the VIA branding, you could easily be convinced that this coach and our roomette haven't been touched since the day they were manufactured. The tour of our roomette ends just as our dinner reservation is called. The dining car on the Ocean is located towards the center of the train, though unlike our roomette, is housed inside one of VIA's Renaissance coaches. The tables are set for dinner when we arrive, the car attendant seating us at a table of 4, which fills up quickly as more passengers arrive. Dinner with VIA is a 3-course affair. Dining starts with a super salad appetizer, followed by a main course and a dessert. For dinner today are a barbecue brisket, cod, chicken basquez, and a paneer tikka masala. From the selection, I chose the pear and goat cheese salad to start and the brisket as a main course, the latter on recommendation from our car attendant. As with any good 3-course meal, dining starts with a warm bread roll. This is followed shortly by our pear and goat cheese salad. Although a little small, the salad is delicious. The pear is sweet and tender, a flavor complemented by the rich balsamic vinaigrette and mild goat cheese. VIA is certainly starting off the dining experience strong. As we finish up our appetizer, our engineer pushes the speeds higher and higher, reaching a peak of 87 miles per hour, a rainbow appearing on the horizon. The main course is next to arrive, a barbecue beef brisket with a side of mac and cheese and honey roasted Brussels sprouts. The main course is amazing. The brisket is juicy and tender, and the barbecue sauce is sweet, tangy, and delicious. The mac and cheese is a great pairing to the brisket, adding a salty note beneath the savory meat and sweet sauce. The Brussels sprouts are a bit of an outlier to the rest of the dish. They're a little on the mushy side, but the flavor is a great mix of sweet and savory. To wrap up our dinner, we're served a slice of lemon cake for dessert. The appetizer and entree had set my expectations high for dessert, however this missed the mark by quite a margin. Sure, it tasted good, with a sweet lemon tang and a bit of cream cheese frosting on top, but with what Amtrak is offering for dessert on its long-distance services, I expected something a little nicer than a slice of sheet cake. Overall, dinner on the ocean was a solid 8 out of 10. The appetizer and entree were delicious, but the dessert left something to be desired. As we make our second stop in St. Hyacinthe, it's worth noting that meals on Via are catered, not freshly cooked. The food is delicious regardless, but it's definitely worth thinking about in the grand scheme of things. If you're enjoying our adventure on the ocean so far, why not hit that subscribe button? It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. I also want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my patrons and channel members. Y'all are amazing and I cannot thank you enough for your incredible support. If you too want your name in the video or just want to support the channel in more ways than one, then head on over to the links in the description below. Dinner now wrapped up, we can return to our sleeper. The Chateau sleeper is one of 2 Bud-manufactured sleeper cars currently operated by the Canadian Railway. Each Chateau sleeper is named after a famed explorer or administrator of the first French and British colonies. Our sleeper is named after François-Pierre Rigaud, the last governor of Montreal under the French regime. In addition to the 8 duplex room, Chateau sleepers include 3 double bedrooms, a single triple bedroom, and 3 sets of berths. The berths are easily the most different of the 4 accommodation types. During the day, each passenger is provided a couch for seating. At night, the 2 couches combine into a lower bed, with a second upper berth folding down from the ceiling. Berths are a great way to get a lie-flat accommodation and complimentary meals on Via Rail for cheap. However, they do not include an outlet, so be prepared to go without power for quite some time. Between the berths and roomettes are the bedrooms. Room A is the triple accommodation, with rooms B and C the double suites. Immediately inside Room A are the same travel guides, napkins, and complimentary bottles of water. Beside the door are a similar set of controls to the ones seen in our roomette. The controls include the ceiling, sofa, and reading lights, and the fan switch, each of which is actuated by the same satisfying toggles. At the bottom of the stack are 2 of the 4 outlets, with the ventilation control at the top. Storage space in the triple bedroom comes in the form of 2 closets and a luggage hold above the bathroom. The smaller closet is found beside the couch, while the larger is behind the door. Inside are 2 coat hangers and plenty of space for personal belongings. For larger items, a storage hold is found above the bathroom, and of course there's always the floor. Turning to the couch and chairs, it's quite apparent that these have undergone a recent reupholstering. The couch has the same built-in armrests as our roomette, though the right side looks wide enough for 2 people, allowing all 3 passengers to sit here at once. Even though this room is only rated for 3 people, there are 2 additional chairs. Unlike on Amtrak, these chairs aren't bolted to the ground or wall, allowing them to be moved wherever you like. At night, the couch folds down to reveal the first bed, the second folds from the wall beside the window, with the third descending from the ceiling to meet the second. Here's what the room looks like with 2 of the 3 beds set up. Opposite the window are a vanity and ensuite bathroom. Atop the vanity is an empty cup holder which interestingly bears the branding of Dixie Cups. Beside the holder are extra face and hand towels with more found on the sink below. The sink is a little strange as it includes a cover which folds over the basin, allowing it to function as both a table and a sink. Unfolding the cover opens the basin. It's quite large with a full faucet and tap for drinking water. Hanging on the bathroom door are 3 shower kits with 1 per passenger. Beyond said door is the ensuite bathroom. Inside is a toilet, coat hanger, and light, but what's not in here is a shower. Unlike on Amtrak, Via's Chateau and Manor bedrooms do not include ensuite showers. Instead, a single communal facility is found on each coach. To find the shower, we must exit the bedroom and head down the corridor to the space between the bedrooms and the berths. Stepping inside, we enter the dry side of the shower room. The dry side isn't huge, but it's enough space to change in, though we will be hard-pressed to do more than that. There's a small stool to sit on, a trash can, and a towel disposal, with some rails on the top to stop personal belongings from sliding off. Opening the frosted glass door, we find the shower stall. It's smaller than the dry side, though not by much. The shower head cannot be moved, forcing me to crouch to wash my head. The controls are a little different to what I'm used to. Passengers press the button on top to start the flow of water, the temperature of which is adjusted by the knob below. The stall doesn't include anywhere to store a bar of soap or bottle of shampoo, so be prepared to open the door at least once while showering. As far as train showers go, it's not bad. It's about on par with Amtrak's Superliner 2 showers, though the refurbished Superliner 1s and Viewliner 2s are much nicer than this. Now that we're cleaned up, we've got a few minutes to kill before our first smoke stop en route to Halifax. The lounge car is the perfect place to wait. The lounge car, or service car as Via calls it, is yet another Renaissance coach, with a couple of standing tables, a few sets of seats, and a snack bar for passengers. The lounge car is also the only coach on the entire train to feature Wi-Fi. Our train soon pulls into Sainte-Foy, our first of 3 smoke stops heading north. Descending the stairs, we get our first real look at the train taking us to Halifax. On the rear of train 14 are 5 Bud stainless steel coaches. 3 of the 5 are Chateau sleepers, with a coach on the front and baggage car on the rear. From the outside, the staggering of the roomettes is super visible. From out here, we can also see that the lower rooms get an ever so slightly taller window. I'm not sure why that is, but it's interesting that there's a difference. Time for a little history about these coaches. The Chateau series sleepers were built by Bud for the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1954. A total of 29 Chateau cars were built, a small portion of the 173 total cars ordered for the Transcontinental Canadian and Dominion services. As passenger demand fell in the late 60s and early 70s, Canadian Pacific pulled many of its passenger trains from service, and in 1978, the entire fleet of stainless steel coaches was purchased by Via Rail. Today, all 29 Chateau cars remain in service, operating on the Ocean, the Canadian, and the Winnipeg to Churchill service. Now, I've said Renaissance coach a couple times throughout the video, but I haven't explained what they are. Well, now that we can actually see one from the outside, it's time to explain. The Renaissance coaches are a fleet of cars built by Metro Campbell in the 1990s for the proposed Nightstar service. The Nightstar was to be an overnight train between the UK and continental Europe, operating via the Channel Tunnel. The coaches were based on the British Mark IV coach and built to fit the British loading gauge, with car body construction strong enough to meet European standards. Looking at the transition coach paired up against a Bud coach, it's clear just how much smaller they are than standard North American rolling stock. Although their floors are at approximately the same height, the actual body of the Bud coach is much taller, standing about a foot above the Renaissance fleet. The width of the Renaissance fleet is also dwarfed by the Bud coaches. At 10 feet and 3/8 of an inch wide, the Bud coaches are over a foot wider than their European counterparts. Off in the distance, our lead coaches extend well beyond the platform, the Ocean forced to do 2 smoke stops due to its excessive length. I'd love to stay out here all night and admire our train, but we've still got around 14 hours between us and Nova Scotia, so it's time to head back on board. Leaving Sainte-Foy, our train backs up across the St. Lawrence River, allowing us to continue north on the tracks we just broke away from. Our car attendant came through to convert our room to its sleeping configuration, the bed now covering the entire length of our roomette. Behind the bed, we find a reading light and a small bag for few personal belongings. The bed itself is decently comfortable. The comforter is quite thick and warm, the bedding soft, and the pillows squishy. But there's one glaring problem: the length. I am 6'3", and the bed is 5'11". Throw in a pillow at the head, which eats away about an inch or two, and I'm left with my feet dangling well off the end of the bed and onto the metal frame. Even if the bed was long enough to accommodate my height, my feet were still touching the far wall, so not a great sleeping position all things considered. Despite my concerns, it'll have to do for tonight, so I got comfortable and turned out the lights for a good night's rest. A foggy sky greets us the next morning. Although I slept, it wasn't well. It turns out that the roomette beds are super bouncy. Pair that with a less than stellar track quality and you're left with a lot of vertical movement as you're trying to fall asleep. At least I was able to get some rest, and the allure of the ocean was all the motivation I needed to get started on day 2. First up on day 2 is a smoke stop in Campbellton, New Brunswick. Outside, the waters of the Restigouche River roll past, the J.C. Van Horn Bridge coming into view as we creep to a halt. The door of the service car slides open and the pneumatic stairs fold down from their hold below the car. Alright, a little more history about the Renaissance fleet. So how did Via end up with these European coaches? Well, in 2000, the Nightstar concept was abandoned, which left almost the entire fleet of coaches without a home. It just so happened that at about the same time, Via Rail was looking to expand its fleet, and after a round of testing and evaluation, elected to purchase all 139 completed and incomplete Nightstar coaches. The coaches were shipped to Canada to be modified at Bombardier's Thunder Yard shop before entering service in 2002. Of the 139 cars purchased, only 106 cars made it into service, with the remaining 33 placed in storage. The Renaissance fleet looks fantastic, even if they've had some serious mechanical issues over the years. I'm so used to the stainless steel rolling stock of North America, and the sleek rounded car bodies of these coaches are a welcome change. With most of the lower equipment removed, the transition car is a great place to get a look under the coach at the 3 massive brake rotors. Climbing back aboard, it's time for breakfast. Breakfast on the ocean is offered on a first-come, first-served basis. For breakfast today are scrambled eggs, crepes, or a smoothie bowl, of which I went for the crepes. What's wonderful about Via's dining options is that each menu changes every day. Say you take the ocean up to Halifax, stay there for a few days, and come back on the train, you'll be treated to an entirely different and delicious selection of food options. Breakfast starts with a freshly brewed cup of coffee, followed by 4 pieces of toast and a glass of orange juice. The toast came pre-buttered, so it's ready to eat as soon as it arrives. While we wait for our main course, we can turn our attention to the dining car. The dining car is almost exclusively for dining tables, with a small service space in the middle for car attendants. Food prep has been moved to the service cars on either end, with a small kitchen for each half of the diner. Each car includes a total of 7 tables for 4 and 7 for 2, allowing for a maximum capacity of 42 passengers. Unfortunately, the seats at each table are only comfortable for around 20 minutes, the cushions giving out soon thereafter. Our crepes arrive after only a few minutes, and they look great. The golden brown crepes are piled high with caramelized pineapples, pecans, and pumpkin seeds, paired with 3 turkey sausage links, a bit of fresh fruit, and a serving of maple syrup. The crepes are delicious. They're light and sweet, although the mountain of dried fruit detracted from the main attraction a bit. Now, that's not to say that dried pineapple and pecans aren't good, I just would have preferred more crepe and less accessory. The fresh fruit is crisp and the turkey sausage links add a salty contrast to an otherwise sweet breakfast. As far as breakfasts go, I rate this as a 9 out of 10. The entire dish was delicious, and had the ratio of crepe to dried fruit been higher, we might have been in perfect score territory. Easily a fantastic way to start the day. The morning fog began to burn off as the sun came out, though the cloud cover remained until well into the afternoon. It was at this point that I checked the schedule to see where we are, only to find that we are now an hour and a half behind schedule. And now that our speed had been reduced due to heat restrictions, the deficit was sure to increase. Little did I know what Mother Nature had in store for the rest of our journey. Returning to our cabin, one of the bedrooms has become unoccupied, so why don't we take a look at the double occupancy room. Room C is one of 3 double bedrooms on Chateau sleepers. The amenities are quite similar to the triple bedroom we saw earlier, but with 2 chairs instead of a couch on one side. Upon entering the room, passengers find a storage cubby similar to the one in the roomette and a clothes hanger. Additional storage is found above the bathroom stall, a space large enough for a couple of suitcases. The light switches and attendant call button are found next to the vanity. Because they're all in a row, it's quite fun to flip all the switches in sequence like you're starting a fighter jet. Below the light switches are the fan control and 2 outlets for the room. In its daytime configuration, the double bedroom only includes 2 chairs, both of which have been reupholstered with the brown and gray leather. The chairs certainly look comfortable, though I'm not sure I'd be a fan of them for longer journeys. Their free-moving nature does mean they can be moved to face the direction of travel, a luxury not afforded by our roomette. At night, the lower bunk folds out from the wall, the upper descending from the ceiling to meet it. On the opposite wall is the vanity and bathroom stall. In the cubby above are a couple hand and face towels, below which is a trifold mirror and sink. The sink has the same table cover as the triple bedroom. Both taps work well with plenty of pressure in the drinking water tap. The bathroom stall is identical to the triple bedroom with a toilet, toilet paper, and 2 shower kits. For solo travelers, the double bedroom is a 50% price increase over the roomette, $700 versus $460 for our journey. It's not that much more expensive for the extra space and a private bathroom, though the lack of a private shower definitely makes me think twice, plus I quite like the charm of an old room. If you're like me and don't want to use the bathroomette in your cabin, then full bathrooms can be found near the berths at the end of each coach. Each car includes 1 regular and 1 accessible bathroom. The bathroom is quite basic, though it's at least somewhat large for passengers with disabilities. The toilet is in decent shape given its many years of service. The sink works well with plenty of soap, hand sanitizer, and paper towels. Two outlets are located beside the sink, one of which is currently occupied by the charging phone of one of the berth passengers. It's certainly an interesting solution to the lack of power outlets, however, I definitely wouldn't leave my phone unattended like this. The northern Canadian greenery continues to roll past the window, our train soon pulling to a stop in Miramichi. Although not officially a smoke stop, I decided to hop off the train for a breath of fresh air, the crew ushering us back on board a few minutes later. Departing Miramichi, our lunch reservation is called. For lunch today are a cassoulet, lentil tortilla, or a rigatoni with vodka sauce. The pasta was calling my name, so that's what I went with. As we waited for our food, word came over the radio that the driver had spotted a moose out the left side of the train. Despite everyone's best efforts to spot it, the moose had long since departed, scared away by the rumble of our train. Our main course is served quickly, a bowl of rigatoni, atop which sits a helping of vodka sauce, sautéed Swiss chard, and a garnish of Parmesan cheese. As with our 2 previous meals on the ocean, this was delicious. The vodka sauce was creamy and rich, accented wonderfully by the Parmesan cheese on top. My only complaint was that a few of the rigatoni noodles got a little too crispy when they were first cooked. Dessert comes as we wrap up the main course. On offer today is a slice of carrot cake topped with cream cheese frosting. I still would have liked something a bit more formal than a slice of sheet cake, but that's not to say that it didn't taste great. As a lunch, this was a 7.5 out of 10. I think the pasta could have done with a bit more sauce, but the flavor was great. Another solid meal from Via Rail. As we dine, the crew receive a message over their radios, and the look on their faces means it's not good news. Unbeknownst to me, Nova Scotia was receiving some of the heaviest rainfall the province had seen in decades. In 24 hours, it rained over 10 inches in some places, causing dramatic flash flooding and forcing a state of emergency. Roads were washed away, houses flooded, and just south of Truro, the only train line connecting Halifax to the rest of Canada was washed away. The culverts beneath couldn't handle the immense amount of rain and debris, causing the water to build up on one side of the railway. Eventually it became too much for the earth to handle and the ground gave way, leaving the railway dangling over a river. With no path to Halifax, the crew announced that our train will be terminating in Moncton, with buses driving passengers the rest of the way. The drive from Moncton to Halifax is estimated to take about 3.5 hours, not what I had signed up for when I booked a room. And with who knows how much flooding in and around downtown Halifax, it certainly wasn't a place I wanted to go. After weighing my options, I decided to book a hotel in Moncton and bring our travels to an end about 190 miles shy of our destination. Returning to our room, I packed our belongings, our train rolling to a stop in Moncton at the de facto end of the line. Bags in hand, we followed the line of passengers off the train and out into Moncton. It was disappointing that this was to be the end of the line. I was really looking forward to exploring Halifax, but with Nova Scotia underwater, there's nothing we can do. With one final look at the Chateau Rigaud, we can head inside Moncton Station where the massive passengers are waiting for their onward connections. Out front, the buses are loading up baggage and a few passengers are making their way on board ahead of departure. This unplanned terminus does mean we can get a look at our locomotives for the first time. Powering the ocean today were EMD F40PH-2's number 6418 and 6402. With our journey now at an end, it's time to bring today's video to a close. If you stuck around this long, I just want to say thank you. I know this was another long one, but there was just so much we had to check out that it didn't seem right to make it short. Also, I want to give another shout out to Surfshark VPN. Be sure to check them out through the link below and use code Lonestar for 3 months free. Next week, we'll be down in Washington, D.C. for a ride on Amtrak's Crescent from the nation's capital to Greensboro, North Carolina. If you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free, and it really helps support the channel. If you want to go the extra mile with your support, then check out the channel's Patreon or become a channel member. If you too want your name in the video, access to exclusive weekly posts, and even the opportunity to vote on future videos, then click the links in the top right or in the description below to learn more. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.